we do the introductions at the end of the conversation.
Okay.
Oh, I should have mentioned this at the beginning. And they're going to have to edit this in post. Thank you so much for sitting down to chat. Excited to kind of get into things. I know our introduction came from Sean, and it was amazing for him to be able to put us together. Would love to understand a little bit about growing Squeeze In and your background with the brand, and how do you take kind of this new approach to growing, your units and scaling the business where you have, like, where did that core interest for you come from?
Well, James, thank you so much for having me. I'm stoked to be a part of this today and to add value in any way that I can. Just to give a little bit of background as to how I got involved with Squeeze In. It's actually been in my family since 2003. I was 10 years old when my mom and dad took over the original location up in Truckee, California. My dad was a landscaper. My mom was in public relations. And my dad actually landscaped for the owner of Squeeze In at the time, who would give him free omelets on a business card. And then they would drive us up to Truckee to go and eat omelets at Truckee, California. It's where our original location is. And it's been open since 1974, so a well-established brand in Truckee. And on the way home, my parents would say, we don't just want to own a restaurant. We don't just want to go be a restaurant family. If there was anything we could do with our time and with our money, we would own the Squeeze In. And so when the opportunity came for them to buy the initial location, they did, I think, what any rational human being would do. They cashed in their savings in retirement, pushed in a family chip that we had, and bet it all on what at the time was actually a failing restaurant up in Truckee. We didn't know until we took it over. We were like, oh, heck, there's a lot here that needs to be done in order to get this thing up and running. So it started as one location in 2003. I was the 10-year-old doing homework on the back table, bussing tables while we were busy making it happen. So I really grew up inside the business and learned it from the inside out. Now, here we are 23 years later, having had the brand. My mom and dad retired in 2017. My sister and I now co-chair our board. We brought in an industry CEO to come in and help us to grow and expand the business in a bit more of an official capacity. So it's been a really interesting ride. I mean, the entrepreneurial journey is wild. And we feel very fortunate to be at the place now where we are equipped with an industry CEO. So we've got a lot of this really good best practice knowledge right at the helm, but combined with the love from the family, the founding knowledge, and really, not willing to sacrifice the quality of what makes this brand so great for the sake of growth.
I love the family story, right? Like, we went back and forth over email about this, and there's something so special about walking into somebody's restaurant where you know that their kids grew up in the back, right? And that the weekends were spent, whether you wanted to or not, from first shift to last, you know what I mean? And I think that tells us really interesting story of hospitality, where the walls raise the people inside of it, right? Like, it becomes so much more than just somewhere that you work. For you, I'm sure it was a big part of your childhood and how you were raised. When you think about how people interact with that story, and now you're going to a point where you're trying to scale that, how do you keep that story alive as you go through multiple new locations, industry CEO, but still keep what makes it so special and unique and frankly, family?
Yeah. I think that you said it pretty well, in that when you're in one of those family type locations, there's a feeling that you get, right? It's not about necessarily our family's story that carries forward a feeling. The feeling is how somebody literally feels when they come into the restaurant. Does it feel like home to them? And so in order to bring that into our locations, we've actually focused in the midst of our growth and on really establishing, and this might sound a little silly, but we've established some pretty strong company values, and they are the guiding light for the company. There are 5 of them. It's live to serve, show the love, celebrate to elevate, and to grow. And so, and to provide an experience of 5. Yep. So provide an experience, live to serve, show the love, celebrate to elevate, and grow. And these 5 values, they get taught in our training. They get worked out through the restaurants. And we tell everyone inside our 4 walls that, look, we'll cover pretty much any mistake that you make, unless it's a character mistake, right? Because if it's something like, stealing or lying, then that's a different story. But if you make a mistake, as long as you can justify it against these 5 values, we've got your back and we're here for you. And so we treat our associates like family, and we empower them to treat our guests like family as well. So whether or not anybody knows the Young family name, they're carrying this spirit of showing love, of providing an experience, of serving their guests on this level. And I think that being able to establish what those values look like. And I know corporate values seem like a silly thing, like they're a poster on the wall, but there's a reason that all of those values are action oriented. They're verbs, right? There's something that someone can do in order to provide what experience we know we could inside of the restaurants for our folks. And we encourage that level of personality. We encourage a level of service so that, like I said, regardless of whether someone knows the Young family name, they still feel like family when they walk in.
And when you think about those staff members, right, and covering for them, making them part of something that's bigger than them, how does that play into hiring? Like, how do you go about now multiple locations, different pools that you're tapping into? Obviously, opening up a new restaurant, culture is so important, but I'm curious about like the hiring element, because it seems like you have these core 5 values that make, I mean, I would assume a pretty structured process where you're evaluating. Walk me through a little bit about how you select for that and try to, advertise for that kind of worker to come work for you guys.
Yeah, so we're actually really lucky. It's very competitive to work at a Squeeze In. We recently did our 2025 turnover numbers, and our turnover for the restaurant was at 34%, which industry averages for full service locations have us at 85%. So we have very low turnover, which is really great. We do a lot of things to treat our associates well, to get them to want to stay. But I won't go so much into that. When it comes to the hiring process itself, a lot of our interview questions aren't really based on the skills, right? We understand your skills based on what it is that you've put in your resume. We know where you've been, how you've been, but we ask creative questions about problem solving. We ask questions about how they've handled personnel conflict. We ask questions that kind of get more to the emotional heart. We ask them about their vision. We ask them about what they want for their own future. We ask them about what they see inside Squeeze In that made them want to apply in the first place, to see if maybe they light up a little bit around, wow, when I came here, I felt like family, or when I've been in these 4 walls. And if they come in and they've never looked at anything on Squeeze In, and they're not demonstrating those values of showing the love or providing an experience to the interviewer, then we know that they're likely not a fit for our organization. And so it definitely comes down to relying on their resumes for really gathering that experience. Now that shifts a little bit, right? In the back of the house, we have to know that you have the chops to be like, do you know how to chop a potato? Because if you don't know how to chop a potato, you probably can't work here. However, on the front of the house, when we're looking for those soft skills, that service orientation, their interview process is really focused around demonstration of emotional capacity.
I remember when I went for my first ever interview at a restaurant. I'd only ever worked in banking prior to that, in summer internships. I showed up in a full suit and tie for a bar back position.
I bet they actually loved that, though.
They loved it. They hired me on the spot. The person was like, "You this is be a bar back," and there I am in my like.
Like it, I sure do.
Yeah. I had no idea what a bar back was.
Hilarious.
It's cool though. To me, when you walk through what you're looking for, it sounds like it boils down to 2 things. And forgive me, but it sounds like it's problem solving and empathy. Can this person work within a chaotic environment? Can they be empathetic to not only their environment, the guests, the people around them? Is that kind of how you would think about it if we were to really try to distill it down to 2 core points?
Yeah, I think so. I think problem solving and empathy is a great way of distilling that. Thank you. I'm going to put that into my back pocket. That's what we're looking for. We really live by the adage, and I'm sure that you've heard it as well. But we hire for personality, we train for skill.
Yeah. It's you can hire the right person. Sometimes even the role develops around them, right? Like it can be, hiring the right people is such a good investment too. Like even if they might be more expensive to do, and training them can be, like, I think you said it best, 34% turnover versus in the 80s. I'd be curious, like when you look at the financial decision of something like that, right? I would assume that it's much more expensive to go through a more robust hiring process, training process, finding these people. But the result, I would assume, probably comes out in the wash, if not tenfold over, because, hey, you have an employee now that's been with you for a few years. Is that something, the way that you look at it as well? Or does it really come down to just what the guest experience is?
Yeah, I think that it absolutely plays a factor into it. I would say less about the robust hiring experience and more so about how we treat them in our four walls. Now, one of the things that we've done I want to say that it's innovative, but it seems like a no-brainer.
Yeah.
We were noticing that there was a lot of employee friction happening around us, getting people to clock out to take their breaks. And I don't know if in your state, if it's mandatory to take breaks, but we're in Nevada and in California, and in our states, it's mandatory for every 8-hour, even a 6-hour shift to have a clocked out 30-minute break. And we were noticing that people weren't wanting to take that break because they would lose out on that 30 minutes of time and that 30 minutes of money. And it was like a frustrating point for everybody because, especially in the back of the house, they would rather leave 30 minutes early than take a 30-minute break at any point throughout the day.
Yeah.
And I said, you know what? If this is causing friction on our managers, if this is causing friction inside our teams, let's just eliminate the friction and start paying people for their 30-minute break every day. And so we stopped making people clock out for the 30-minute break. So we pay for their 30-minute lunch. We pay for the lunch 100% that they get to have while they're here inside Squeeze In. So we've got, an associate meal. They get to order and eat whatever they like, which is great because it gets them excited about the product itself.
Yeah.
But that was such a game-changing decision. And does it cost us a little bit more on the P&L? Absolutely, in labor to not save 30 minutes per employee per day. And does it cost us less in having to, what's an average of about $3,000 to get somebody 100% trained up and ready to go when we have a revolving door of associates? When the number one pain point is the fact that we're making them clock out for a break, it's well worth it to just pay the little bit of extra to take care of our people and keep them inside of our business.
Oh, completely. I worked at a restaurant where they did something similar. Now, they didn't pay for our meal. I would have loved if they did. But the result was you get in the flow state, right? It's like a busy shift. All of a sudden you're slammed, you're in the weeds. It's I don't want to step off the floor. I make money off tips. This is when I want to be working. And it was the only restaurant I'd worked at where you'd have staff there for years. I left 2 years later, came back, and it was the same group of people. I was the only one who came back and left. I was moonlighting, working behind the bar because I was making more money bartending than I was at my initial SaaS job.
Oh yeah. It's good money.
It is. It's hard to walk away, and it's fun.
Even every once in a while, I still serve on the floor. I'm it's fun to make the extra $100. Yeah, it's great.
I'll go to restaurants and I'll always sit at the bar. I think sitting at the bar is the best spot in the entire house. And I'll just watch these two bartenders have the most fun ever making hand over fist. And I'm part of me wishes I could do that. Now I'm actually Canadian. You could probably hear it in my voice. So I can't legally work as a bartender and do this job, or else I'd probably try to squeeze out and get a couple of shifts here and there at the spots around my house. I think when you talk about valuing employees, it's so important to understand what is the most impact that I can provide in the easiest way. Because to the employee, it's so obvious, right? Let me work through this, pay me for this. I'm going to get you more money. And I think sometimes people overcomplicate it and think about it's almost like they're willing to step over a dollar to pick up a penny, right? There's this big opportunity to help your staff be happy to be here, excited to walk in the door, not have this core friction point. And is there an investment to do so? Certainly. But what's the result? Well, if you have happier staff, are they more likely to serve your guests better? Probably.
Yep.
Are they going to be able to come back more frequently and be less likely to leave and go somewhere else? Likely. The impact of doing sometimes the simple and maybe expensive thing is usually an effect that helps everything around it. So I'd love to hear that was something that you guys did, because from my experience, it worked very well. And optimizing for your staff is always a good decision, especially in the hospitality industry. At least that's my belief.
There's also some things that I think, especially for smaller location or smaller unit owners, I wouldn't say location wise, but if you have only a few in your bunch and you're in there regularly, there's some really easy things that you can do. A couple of mistakes that we were making in the beginning. We would see something happening on the floor that was wrong, and we would just pull somebody aside for a quick coaching moment and let them know, and then put them back out onto the floor. We no longer do that. Now we save all feedback for the end of the day. And we don't let it go a week or 2 weeks until the feedback is delivered, but we wait until the end of the shift to deliver the feedback. And oftentimes as the owner, what we'll do now is we'll just inform the GM and allow the GM to be the one to carry that message forward. And then as the ownership, especially for single unit operators, just get in and ask your people about their lives. Hey, how's your mom doing? That is so free and so impactful for people. And when recently, actually at this location, one of our associates, their mom passed away, and it was rather sudden. And after about 2 weeks, they had taken a bit of some time off to do what they needed to do to get her affairs in order. And when they came back, I mean, I encountered the associate. They were in the back office, and like first words out of my mouth were, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry to hear about your mom. I had heard through Cody that this happened, and the associate just started crying instantly. And I said, can I give you a hug? And he said, yes, I would love that. And we just sat each other for a minute in the back. And you can't replicate the loyalty that comes from just caring about people, about asking about their lives, about their hopes, about what it is that they want for their future. And it's totally financially negligible. It takes no time. It takes nothing from you to give to them in that way.
Certainly. And you think about how much time you spend in your workplace. Oftentimes, like I joke about this with my girlfriend, I spend more time with my boss than I do her. Right. Like, right. Like, true. And his wife is like, you see my husband more than I see, you know what I mean? Like we spend so much time at work with our colleagues. So much of our life revolves around this. It's such a simple opportunity to just ask how someone's day is going, right? Or what's getting you excited or what's going on. And there's obviously a line between work and personal, and you don't have to cross that line, but being a good person is always on the table, and it's always easy to do. You just be there for people. We work in the damn hospitality industry for goodness sake, right? Like it's just apply that same level of empathy that you would give to a guest, to your staff, and they'll love you. I see it in all of our great operators. We have a group of ours who is works with us, a 80 unit group. The guy who runs it is Chris Aslam, one of the most generous, soft-spoken, wonderful people. He runs Jack in the Box system, and his results are disproportionately higher than other operators. And I have to believe it's from that culture that he's created around his managers, and it starts with him. And you speak to him, he looks at you in the eye, and you know that he's present in this conversation, right? It's so important to be a leader that is that way, because it translates throughout the entire business. And from a financial perspective, you end up winning. There's real impact there. And to your point, it doesn't cost a thing.
It doesn't cost a thing. And when you treat your associates that way, they treat your guests that way, which means that your guests come back more often. You find repeat business. You have regulars that want to join your loyalty club, that want to try new things, that become champions for you in the community. And it doesn't cost you as a leader anything. I mean, it's so easy. And I get it. We've been there too. It's easy to get emotional, because when you come in and you see things going wrong, you want to jump and attack on the issues because you love the business and you want it to do so well. And prioritizing that people necessarily over the process or the procedure in the moment, something that wins every time.
Completely. Couldn't agree more. Now, changing gears a little bit, I'd love to talk about just kind of the state of the world right now being 2026. And obviously there's lots of things from technology and AI and everything like that. When you guys look to expand and bringing in new processes, how does technology, maybe even AI, start to play into that role for you guys?
Yeah, well, we love our tech stack is everything, right? It's so helpful to have the technology behind the system so that we can be tracking where we're at in regards to sales. We can be helping to grow our loyalty base. And so we've definitely leaned full on into creating a tech environment here at the Squeeze Ins. Now, when it comes to deciding what comes next, that's always a decision that has to run through. While we have our mission statement as 6 words, happy guests, happy associates every day, that's our store level mission statement. Now, our mission for the corporate side of things is that we run everything through what we call a decision-making filter. 1, does it increase top-line profits? 2, does it increase bottom-line profits? Or B, or 3, does it improve an existing system? And so if a piece of technology can do one of those 3 things, or hopefully even all 3, it improves an existing system, helps us increase both top and bottom line, then if it can check all these boxes, that's where it becomes a major win for us. But when it comes into things like integrating AI, I'll have to say we run Toast as our POS provider. They recently launched Toast IQ. It's game changing. Like, I want to tell everybody out there, if you use Toast and you don't use Toast IQ, go, run, don't walk, go use it. I mean, I was recently at a conference, and I was sitting in one of the sessions, and the speaker had said one of the ways that we've grown our off-premise sales is we looked at what were our top modifiers to opt to different items. And then we just added those modifiers to everything that we had. So modifiers only being for the 1 or 2 items that we would recommend. We put it on everything, and that helped us to increase off-premise sales. And I literally in the session got onto my Toast Now on my phone, on my app. And I went into Toast IQ and I said, what are my top modifiers that are happening across all the locations? And I'm like, boom, half avocado is the number one thing that gets added. And I texted my director of operations and I said, go into DoorDash right now, go on our online platform right now and add half avocado to everything. And we made instant changes, data-based decision at our fingertips based off of knowledge we were gaining from industry experts because of the addition of AI integration into Toast.
Yeah. It's unbelievable what can be done now. And one thing that I've seen is historically, like these insights, these data points were essentially gate kept to these enterprise, large multinational businesses. And the advent of AI has meant that we've been able to democratize data that we're all collecting, right? And get it into the hands of people like yourself who may not have the millions of dollars to pay the full financial analysis team and everything like that. But now we have tools where we can create outcomes, right? Like I know the outcome I'm looking for. Maybe I don't know the formula to get there, but that's what technology is for, right? Like if we can work with these people and figure out our desired outcomes, can it help create processes that are better than before, more efficient, time savings? Can my bottom line become better? Is our top line better? Like these are great ways to consider it because at the end of the day, that's what technology should be used for. Right. And it's great to see. So love that you guys are using Toast IQ. I think that's amazing. I'd be curious as well. Is there any area or a technology that doesn't exist today that you would really like to see come in and maybe be a area to help your business or other ones that you know of?
That's tough to say. I mean, I think it would be awesome. And I think that there's a way right now to do it in a really convoluted, you've got a device in store, but I would love to find a way to track when we run a Google ad, like does the person who sees the Google ad actually end up inside the location? Now, what I think how Google does it is that they take everyone who has clicked the directions function, and then they give you like 33% of whoever has clicked on directions is what they're counting as the in-store ROI. But I would love to be able to see like, okay, they clicked on my ad, they came into the store and here's what they ordered. Or like they clicked on the ad, they came into the store and here's what time they came in. Like we can see a lot of our time data, but I want to know, where did you come from, right? And so a lot of times when I'm serving and I'm asking guests, that's one thing that I'll ask them, like, how did you find out about us? And sometimes it's Google. Sometimes it's, I saw you guys on social media and I love that. Sometimes it's, I heard this from a friend. But I think that it would be really cool to have, like I said, I know that there's like a convoluted way of like, you get your geocaching fence and it hooks up to this system and then maybe it goes to that system but it's not all in one platform that's really cute yet. But I'm looking forward to seeing that maybe develop in the next few years. Yeah,
that'd be sweet. I mean, the process to do that today sounds like a ton of work. And when you're in the business of restaurants where it's putting out fires and a million things at once.
There's no time for that.
What has been like a big thing that you guys have invested in recently that maybe does drive traffic in the front door? I mean, I've heard a lot of conversation that influencer marketing really doesn't work because the followers are so spread out across a massive geography that no one in your localized area is actually going to get kind of suggested in the door. Like, is there something that's worked really well for you guys?
Yeah. Recently, actually, just within the last few months, I hosted a social media focus group where I pulled together a bunch of kids from our local college. We're really close to the University of Nevada, Reno here. And I have some contacts in the business department. And so got about 6 signups. I had a high schooler at the table. I had 3 college students and I had an MBA student. So 3 undergrads and an MBA that sat down with me. And I had asked all of them to review our social media pages before we got there. And then I sat down and asked them questions like, what is important to you on social media? What makes you stop scrolling and be engaged and lean in to a post? And what really ended up coming out of that was that, interestingly enough, they said, we don't care about your food. We don't care about how it looks or what the restaurant does. We don't care about the values of the location. The number one question that kind of goes through their brains is, are you entertaining me? Am I entertained when I'm engaging with your content? And so they made the point that you can see, we allow signatures on the walls. This is a really fun brand. I'll actually just turn the computer around so you can see like our decor is very eclectic. Yeah. We have stuff all over the place. So they said, with the brand that you have the ability to be silly and be a little avant-garde with what you do. So just do that. And so we've done that. In the last few months, we've shifted our social media strategy from, we don't show any of our food. We don't do anything but entertain. And it's so, first off, we've had so much fun creating content, and the people in the stores, we do it from different locations to make sure that everybody gets an opportunity to shine. But they love it. I mean, everything from Bad Bunny parody videos to we recently did one, but interestingly enough, I actually did an A/B test because I wanted to see. I had posted something very kind of corporate-y about our food to see if it could get any traction, and it just completely died. And then I posted this video of it's a trend that I've seen where, you know, the server says to a guest, "Oh, I hope you enjoy your meal," and the guest says, "Oh, you too," and then they're like eating it together. So we did that, and it was these two gentlemen, and it was over a French toast. Funny enough, the weekend after that went up, our French toast became a larger product mix.
No way.
The restaurants, we didn't even make French toast wasn't about, like, the video wasn't about the French toast. The video wasn't about the French toast, but people were commenting on both Instagram and TikTok. "Oh my gosh, that French toast looks so good. I want to come in for this French toast." Like, I could have posted 15 pictures about the best French toast, and it really is so good, and got no traction. But instead, we did something silly. We played in, we made fun of ourselves, and it really made the needle move. And I'll tell you, we're about to close out one of our best quarters since pre-pandemic. It's been the best
amazing
that we've had since 2018.
That's incredible. Do you think that's mainly due to advertisement and driving in through social media, or has there been other big changes that you've made that have caused that?
We did start with Google advertising at the beginning of this year as well, which I think has helped for sure. We saw a sustained jump through what we've been doing through social media. And then I think, you know, it's a little bit of the Chili's effect. In the last few years, we've really been driving down on our processes and making sure that the guest experience is consistent every single time. And I think we built a lot of trust with our community. COVID was rocky, like it was for everybody. Our turnover was insane. Our product was inconsistent. So we've worked really hard to create a more sustainable way of doing business for everyone, including our associates. And I think our guests have noticed. And so I think it's a combination of many things, but I'll say the advertising and the social media certainly doesn't hurt.
Yeah, for sure. It's funny. Like I have this take on restaurants where, whether it was from dining in or being a server myself, it's almost like the service element is, to me, it's the most important part of the entire process. Like, the reason why you go to a restaurant is to be served. Most of the time you can make that food at home. A lot of the time you can make it better at home. But you're doing it not just for convenience, but because, like, hey, if I had a hard day, I like going to a restaurant because there's going to be there's a server that I know that is going to be nice, and I'm going to feel good, right? Or if I'm here to celebrate, I want to go to a restaurant as well because the people are going to be there and they're going to help me through this process. The brands that I've seen become the most successful are the ones that lean into that and understand that, like, that micro guest experience is so critical for not only repeat guests, but also just like making sure that you're continually providing the best level of service every single time, which then creates more people to come back and more people to be referred or whatever it might be. Restaurants hold such an important place in our society where there's very few times where you go out of your way just for service, and restaurants are that reason, right? And it's become so important. And I think what you've seen here is a perfect example of that, right? You invest in that, make it a more streamlined process, more consistent, and people reward you by coming back.
Yeah, I would agree.
It's great. Also, who doesn't love going to a restaurant?
I know.
Who doesn't love French toast?
I'm a big fan.
Well, hey, thank you so much for taking the time to chat today. Now that we've kind of had about 20 minutes of conversation, I'd love for you to be able to kind of introduce yourself and tell me a little bit about your background specifically. I know it's obviously a family brand and whatnot, but I'd love to hear a little bit more about you.
Yeah, of course. Well, thank you, James, for having me. My name is Kay. I am the VP of Sales and Marketing here at Squeeze In Breakfast and Lunch, and also one of the co-owners, co-chair of the board. And it's been an awesome journey. This is a family restaurant. I got to grow up inside these four walls, but outside of the restaurant, I actually went and spread my wings when I was a little younger, went and GM'd an Italian restaurant down in San Diego. I opened up my own marketing firm back in 2015 and got to do a lot of work in marketing in the personal development space, on social media, cutting my teeth inside advertising. And so when it was time in 2017 for my parents to retire, they asked me to step step back into the business to help my sister, to come alongside her and my brother-in-law so that we could really grow it and scale it together. And so after weathering the 2020 storm that we were all through, we decided, hey, you know what? It's time for us to take this business to the next level. We landed the most amazing industry CEO. His name is Amir Sabatian. We love him. He was the chief operating officer of Steak and Shake. So to be getting somebody like that inside this tiny little brand, but we knew that if we could get our systems right, that we could really grow in a way that would be what we've wanted to see the Squeeze In do. This is such a special restaurant with a really special personality, and we believe that every community in the nation deserves to have a Squeeze In.
That's amazing. Well, thank you. I'm really excited to hear how this continues. I think the family brand story is it's so like Americana as well. You know what I mean? Like that story is just, it touches everybody's heart. I love it. Thank you for taking the time to chat today. I appreciate you coming on.
Thank you, James. I appreciate you.
Thank you.
Well.